We continue with our series looking ahead into 2024. Our focus this afternoon is on the economy and how it will impact on lives. We've put together business leaders and economists to help us with this analysis. First, though, the festive season officially came to an end yesterday, giving way to serious business activity to return to normal again. And of course, not many are in the mood to return to work as we know it. As a result, business has been slow on the first day of the working day in 2024. Our microphones were around town to capture the moment.
Although it is the second day of the year, it is actually the first working day of 2024. People are gradually returning to their workplaces after spending the Christmas holidays with family, traveling and having fun. So we're in town to gauge the mood, to ask workers how they are coping on their return to work on the first day of 2024.
Today is actually the first part of the year, but for me personally, by the grace of God, I actually closed my books for 2023 in as far back as October. As of October, realistically, I finished all the things I wanted to do in 2023. So to be very honest with you, I actually started 2024 from November. So I actually began my year very early, and I have my plans that I'm following through. So realistically, I was already in a new year, and I'm still up to tax. Usually with the kind of job I do, around this time is very free. It gets more intense from the beginning of the second quarter. So yeah, basically, it's been a good year for me, starting from November, as I was saying.
It's been good so far, though it has not been active as it used to be, because I facilitate adult learners, and most of them are yet to return from their break. So far it has been good. Okay.
What are your resolutions for your work in this year?
I hope it will be more active than it was last year. And I expect the learners to attend very well. That should be it. Because without the learners, I cannot teach. So I expect them to be there.
As I'm talking to you right now, we are just sitting there idle. None of the customers are even coming. Yeah.
What's causing that?
I'm sure no money in the system again. Majority of them are finished chopping their money. So maybe they are not coming to work to even get some few money to enjoy.
But that's a bank. They could come there and get some loans and all that. So why are they not coming?
Right now, beginning of the month like this, it is not easy for customer to even come for a loan. Because you plan for a loan for a purpose. So for you just to come for a loan, just maybe to manage your days, I think it is not easy for any customer to do that. So we are just waiting for them.
So what time are you expecting business to return to normal?
Roughly maybe from Monday going.
Well, as most people have told us, they expect business to return to normal, at least from the beginning of next week. Reporting for Joy News, my name is Kenneth Jesse.
Well, and we're all looking forward to that, but it's also coming along with some implications, tax measures and all others, which the business community is alarmed about. Let me bring in now Samson Asakia Wingobit, who is the Executive Secretary for the Importers and Exporters Association. Dr. Joseph Obeng is President of the Ghana Union of Trade Association. And we have Peter Tekpe, who's an economist and policy analyst, joining the conversation. Yao Latte is also an economist, financial advisor with Deloitte. Thank you all. And Yao, let me just start off on that note by saying a Happy New Year to all of you. But Yao, more importantly, we're looking forward to 2024. More taxes. Beyond that, anything else to expect?
Yes. So good afternoon to you and your cherished viewers and listeners as well. So yes, you mentioned more taxes. It's not just about taxes, it's about government drive to raise revenue. As you know, we are currently under an IMF program, and usually for IMF programs, you address 2 or 3 major things. So the first one is your low revenue base, and your low revenue base can be addressed by diversifying your revenue sources and then increasing taxes or using some tax measures. So as was introduced in the budget that was submitted to Parliament, there are a few tax measures that are going to be enforced. And The good thing is they didn't really introduce new taxes, but obviously there has been or there's likely to be some enforcement of existing taxes, amendment of existing taxes, which are going to be affecting businesses and individuals. And we hope that they wouldn't have direct consequences. Because the challenge is that historically we introduced indirect taxes. The problem with indirect taxes is that they are likely to be passed on to consumers. And when these taxes are passed on to consumers, they lead to inflation. So our long-term inflation rates or our inflation that has been elevated in the last couple of months has been as a result of some of the taxes that we've introduced. We have seen them being passed on to consumers, and obviously they need to increase in price of goods and services.
I see. We've been also trying to break down the issues for you in this infograph that will just give you a sense of what to expect in 2023. You have excerpts of that on your screens right now, giving you a sense of what to equally expect. We'll get to that shortly for you. But Dr. Obeng, of course, this is a new year. We're expecting that business-wise, things will pick up rather than how they were last year, when, of course, your association was raising concerns about, the market and how it wasn't favorable to the Ghanaian business owner. What do you expect going into this year? Dr. Obeng, I hope you can hear me. Okay, I will get that for you shortly. But Samson Asaki Awingobet, you're not far from the concerns of Guta, because as importers and exporters as well, we know that you equally sharing that concern. The fact that last year wasn't the best for you, you're looking forward to a better year this time around.
Certainly, yes. Let me say a very big happy new year to your good self and my senior comrade on the platform there. Of course, yes, the 2023 was really a very challenging year for the business community. And so coming into 2024, we come with excitement, we come with enthusiasm. We strongly believe that, yes, of course, 2024, there was no new taxes that was actually introduced. But mind you, remember that there were some few taxes that they were expanding to cover fruit juice and other diapers and other imported commodities that 2024 budget subscribed to. And of course, I think you are also aware of the vehicles tax that we are supposed to pay 100 Ghana cedis or so if you're going to register your car or to renew your car roadworthy at the DVLA. Of course, yes, before the end of the year, we were talking about how the inflation, how the cedi depreciation, even though in the latter part of the fourth quarter, there was some kind of stability in the cedi as against the dollar. But as we speak, I think that if the second tranche of the IMF is not in, that could also give us some headache. But all in all, even though the third quarter of last year, 2023, wasn't much appreciative in terms of sales or businesses, but I think the latter part of about 2 weeks to the end of the year, I think we saw marketplaces and business places and shopping malls were all occupied because people were trooping to do sales. And if you ask the business community, they will tell that within the 2 weeks to the end of the year, there were some kind of uplifting of sales. And we look forward to see that in 2024. Yes, of course, today is the first working day. Indeed, you should expect that people have traveled. Myself, I've traveled. I'm not in the city. I'm out of the city. And so we are all here to come back to our working places and to kickstart work again. I'm sure by the end of this week, at least next week, we should be seeing the effectiveness of Ghanaian workers returning to their workplaces and normality. Of course, business community, for us, I'm not quite sure how we are going to enjoy this first month of January. But indeed, people have gone to spend their surplus incomes in during the festive season. So, of course, everybody is anticipating, anxiously waiting for the month of January pay to come. So it will take like first quarter, end of first quarter to the second quarter before we can boast to say that businesses is doing well or business is not doing well.
Okay, let's get to it then in terms of what we've also been looking at here at Joy News in terms of the major factors influencing or likely to influence 2024. There's a total revenue and grants in terms of targets that government is setting out per the 2023 fiscal year performance and projection. That's supposed to be hitting some 79.1 billion Ghana cedis. The indication is that it's not looking likely for us. Take a look at, for instance, the targets that we've set for ourselves in terms of the expenditure, 1 to 1.8, and of course the actuals ranging between some 104.6. These are, some major factors we're looking at in terms of the fiscal. We'll be getting to the, details as we go on in terms of, for instance, the economic growth, projection, or what actually transpired last year, 3.3% for first quarter of last year, 3.2% for second quarter of 2023, and of course the third quarter then ranging somewhere around 2%. In terms of how we fared. So that's, the dynamics and what it is that we've been trying to look at. But for you, Peter Tekwe, what more are you considering now?
Just for me to chip in this in, my brother, I think I made it clear that the way the government totally reversed the benchmark values and the way Ghanaians were crying, definitely, it's when the port revenue dip, then of course you can make your revenue for the year, and so that's exactly what we saw in the figure that you are showing.
Right, and that's why I'm also asking Peter Tekwe. I mean, what you equally think about what's happening in terms of the outlook. Do you see the trend growing or declining? Declining this year, Mr. Tekwe?
Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much. Please, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir.
Okay, yes. If you look at the trend in 2023 compared with what happened in 2022, I mean, definitely there has been some level of improvement. I mean, where the indicators were at the end of December 2022, and then where we are now, and that should tell us that, for instance, inflation, and these are the thematic areas that we look at. These are the indicators that we look at. If inflation was at 54, and we close the year at 26, of course, definitely there has been some level of improvement. Depreciation of the currency also in 2022, I mean, of about 50%. We are looking at this time around about 28, around thereabout percent in terms of the retail market, the forex bureau. However, this year, which is 2024, is an election year, and every election year, I mean, government spends money, especially when government is going to the second term. And this is the second term of the government, and they are bent on winning the election. They said they wanted to break the 8, which means that a lot needs to be done in order to make the government very visible, I mean, to the populace. And that means that expenditure will definitely increase. And for the first quarter, we may not see it, but from the second quarter going, we should see the momentum begin to gather for election year. And once government is spending more, definitely, I mean, it's going to impact on inflation.
Okay.
And the inflation basket, one of the critical things that disturbs or that employees or the citizens are affected about are prices of goods and services. And when we talk of inflation, it's a basket where a couple of items are put in that basket. If you are consuming, say, more of maize, and the inflation of maize is definitely going up, even if the total average is coming down, certainly you will not feel it, because the kind of product you buy, where your consumption pattern is, if the cost associated with that product or that service is going up, definitely you will not be impacted. So once we are going to the election year, we expect these things.
And it's interesting that you're raising the apprehension about the election year spending. Yao of Deloitte, I'll come to you shortly, but let's also bring in Dr. Joseph Obeng, who's joining us now. Dr. Obeng, I was just getting the thoughts of Samson Asaki Awingobitu, is also worried about what's likely to happen this year, especially for the first quarter, for those of you in the business or private sector. Well, what's your projection as Guta as well?
Yeah, what we are expecting is the sustainability of our local currency. I think we had some gains in the year 2023 as compared to the last quarter of 2022. And so what we are expecting is that this be
Yeah.
we are goodness.
Dr. Obeng, are you still with me?
Hello?
Yes, I lost you there briefly. You were just about raising the concerns.
Yeah. So it's very important. But my fear has been that the second tranche of the IMF deal hasn't gone through, and that we should do everything humanly possible to bring it around this time. Because if you recall, we have been suffering depreciation around this time, end of the year through to January and then mid of February. So if we are able to be able to sustain the stability, then of course we are on the threshold of recouping as businesses. Then we also want a conscious effort to reduce cost of production, meaning that we have to reduce cost of doing business in this country by way of adopting efficient measures by the GRA, so that government itself will also prune down on some of these taxes and other costs of doing business in the country. If we're able to do that, especially when we are thinking about import substitution, we do not have any option than to reduce the cost of production by way of reducing some of these taxes and all that. The other indicators, be it inflation and interest rate, all have to be worked on. Now, the trend is good, but then it should come further down so that we
Okay, we seem to be experiencing the same.
15% of it.
Yeah, you're talking about 15%, sir?
Yeah, so we can come around somewhere 15% of inflation and thereabout. If you're able to do that, then businesses are on the verge of recovering again after the losses of the previous years and of the problems that we incurred as businesses. Yeah, so these are virtually what need to be done. And then we have to also improve on the stability. That's essentially what is very important. But for us in the informal sector, the restructuring of the VAT is very important for us. The VAT as a tax system as it is now does not ensure compliance, does not bring fairness, and it is not helping the growth of businesses, especially with regards to the streamline of about 6%. That is that cannot be recouped back by businesses. And then the disparity between the standard rate and then the flat rate, and then also those who are not made to pay at all, has been a major problem of businesses that we need to look at to restructure so that it will bring fairness, parity, simplicity, and then compliance will be assured. Yeah.
And yeah, I was just giving you a prelude about the fears, election year and political commitment to some of the strict fiscal reforms we would want to see this year. How's that likely to be impacted based on what's happening now?
Yeah, so thank you very much. Just to re-echo some of the points that have been made earlier by other panelists. I think the year 2023, we have some turnaround in the words of the minister. We had a much more improved GDP growth rate. If you look at the figures that we presented, on average in the first 3 quarters of the year, our economy has grown by about 3%.
And yeah, we seem to be having a challenge hearing you. If you could just draw closer, so we're able to get the words clearly.
So
yes.
I'm just saying before that we've had some positive indicators in the last 3 quarters of the year 2023. So in the last 3 quarters of the year, or the first 3 quarters of the year 2023, the economy grew by an average of 3% based on the presentation that you sent. We also had stable currency, much more stable currency compared to previous years where we were concerned about the CD reaching 15%. And there was also relatively other factors that contributed in bringing some stability, particularly our ability to reach IMF program. But there are some key risk factors which I would like to highlight, and that's to answer your question.
Hello.
One of them is the pre-election activities. So the pre-election activities will affect the business of government. And once you have significant activity, pre-election activity, it will take the business of government away, and that's likely to affect other things. So yes, there's going to be some expenditure, which will lead to some growth, but obviously some indicators such as inflation will be at risk because we've seen a downward trend in inflation. Currently, as we speak, inflation is about 26%. We expect this downward trend to hit the 18.7% as we projected by the end of the year. But obviously, if we do not or we are not disciplined, we may hit over and above the target for the year. The other risk factor is our ability to ensure that we are consistently receiving the tranche of the IMF funds. If we are not consistently receiving the IMF tranche, we stand at risk of having exchange rate issues. Because, historically, we used to go to the European market or international capital market to get some bonds. And that helped us to give some stability in terms of making sure that we have enough funds to support the economy. If we do not have the IMF funds coming on quarterly basis as has been projected, there's a risk that the local currency may be and it may not have enough forex to support the economy. The other risk is about things that have got to do with our ability to also manage the external credit. Mind you, we have not completed the process of debt restructuring, particularly from the external side. We've gone through a process of domestic restructuring. We've agreed on terms that bilateral creditors. But our individual and institutional investors, we have not concluded on terms with them. And that's also a risk that is staring at us in the face. I would urge government to accelerate the process of engaging our institutional investors, our individual investors, particularly our Eurobond investors. The problem is that these are corporate institutions. They need their board approval to be able to accept any write-off or even haircuts. And so it's going to be a long process. Government expects this to complete by the middle of the year. But other international watchers expect this to run for about 12 months. That's going to be a risk for us. So for me, I think all of these are risk factors that government will have to put in the right measures, will have to engage all the various stakeholders and consult all the stakeholders and amicably resolve issues as soon as possible so that the stability that we are seeing, the turning around the economy that we are seeing will maintain to the end of the year.
I see. And Peter, building on that point, the president says the economy has turned the corner. The words of the president, his firm belief that things are picking up.
Well, the term turn the corner, if you want to relate it to what has happened, of course, it's just like a patient who is at ICU, and has been brought to the recovery ward. It doesn't mean that you have fully recovered, but it shows signs of recovery. And definitely, if you look at the macro indicators, it means that there has been turn of the corner because there has been improvement. And that is a fact that the areas we look at, depreciation of the CD, has been fairly relatively stable over the year 2023 than 2022. Inflation too has been, going down, but like I indicated, the impact of inflation and the impact of depreciation depend on where your interest lies. So if you are consuming in a particular aspect where, the prices keep going up, definitely you won't have any impact. So when you talk of turning the corner, of course we turn the corner, but we are expecting that because we have come from a very far point of 54, we're expecting that at a level where we were expecting to hit single digit, then if you are still in the 20s, it's still high because this is a recovery process. And once you are recovering, you can only fully turn the corner when you have been taken out of the recovery world. And the recovery world is when we start seeing the single digit inflation, we start seeing the CD, performing or depreciation at the single digit level, because definitely the CD will depreciate. So these are signs that we expect. However, this is going to be very difficult in this current year, in terms of election year, because government will have to be very visible to the citizens, and especially in an aspect where people are struggling in terms of recovering financially from businesses. Businesses have really suffered in 2023 because we are all coming out of COVID, and of course, other issues came to add up to it. However, government expenditure pattern will determine how the economy will recover fully in this 2024 year. And so if President says that we have turned a corner, of course we've turned a corner, but we are looking at turning a corner having impact on businesses and individuals as well, because income has not increased the level as is expected. So if you are recovering, for instance, and then your income is still low, you'll still be spending. And that is one aspect that people may not understand. So when people say inflation is going down, their understanding is not that prices of goods and services are reducing. The person who is spending, he still sees that prices are increasing. Why? Because prices are only increasing at a lower level. Doesn't mean that prices are going down. And when income is not increasing, definitely you struggle. And so this year, the target set by government, like inflation, for instance, at 15, it will be very difficult to meet this, especially when you are going to spend. But don't forget that in 2023, government expenditure was highly curtailed because we have to plan, we have to meet IMF conditionalities. However, we expect that something like the cedi depreciation, it will be more stable this year as well, because the difficult aspect for government to receive IMF tranche, which is the current process we are going through. Once we are able to meet the conditions or be able to restructure the debt with the external creditors, irrespective of how it is, once we cross this hurdle, subsequent inflows of the IMF fund will be smooth, because this is a more difficult one. Once we have this money coming in, definitely it will help the economy to be very stable in terms of the depreciation of the cedi, because that is our only hope now, since we are no more going to the IMF.
Samson Asaki Awingo, but that should be good news. At least the prices are going up, but not as much as was projected. Now the trend appears to be decreasing in terms of how the prices have been escalating in the past.
Well, I mean, nobody in businesses is happy to, as a matter of fact, see to it that your prices of your goods are continuously going up instead of it to come down, so that your consumers or those who patronize your product will be able to buy it. Cost of utility tariff is something that we need to look at it going forward to 2024. Cost of productivity, cost of borrowing, interest from our banks. Of course, yes, I'm sure the last time prime rate said they were coming down, it was maintained, and interest and inflation rate was coming down to, let's say, I think 28 plus or so, or was it 32.5 or thereabout? Then, of course, interest rate from the banks is something that we are looking forward. So, if collectively, just like my very good friend Peter just said, if government is able to work around the clock to be able to reduce all these things, then of course, and then giving us proper stability of our cedi, our currency. And as I said, all of us are pointing finger to the on-time coming of the IMF second tranche. And of course, we have been advocating that government should be able to also give the business community at the port the rate. You know, our rate is usually continue to be changing every week. So if they can give us, let's say, a full first quarter, then subject to review, that could also give us some level of confidence. Then, of course, we will be able to reduce the prices the more. So we are not excited by increasing prices, but the environment in which we find ourselves, if we do not do that, then of course you cannot be afloat between businesses. As I said earlier, you saw the figure that you displayed earlier on by the end of 2023. You realize that the revenue could not meet, and even expenditure was even higher. And the point is, collection of the revenue wasn't up to, it wasn't matched to what government was expecting. So the point is, many people started diverting their cargo from their instead of it coming through Tema Port or Tokara Port, it goes through to Ivory Coast, where they could pay cheaper and then find ways and means bringing it to our market here, and that was leading to a smuggling of goods, and that wasn't good for our people, especially our people like my very good friend, my senior colleague, Dr. Obeng, who will bring his cargo through the Tema Port and pay all the high duties and taxes and fees and charges just to come to the market. Then you meet inferior cables, you don't even know where it came through. Because if they have to come through Tema Port, of course, we have our standards authority there, we have the Energy Commission there. All these people will be able to make sure that you cannot bring substandard to come and mad or to come and mix up with the market, and the people who bring the quality ones will not get the market. So at the end of the day, we strongly believe that if government is able to do something proper, especially we talk about abolition of the 2% special import levy, the last budget, 2024 budget, we're looking forward for them to abolish. They didn't. We're looking forward for government to say, okay, the COVID levy, COVID is over, even though, World Health Organization says that ease all the restrictions or abandon all the restrictions, yet government of Ghana continues to record it. Probably we do not know where they are sending those monies to, but importers have to cough out this money to give to government. So these are some of the things. So at the end of the day, it is not lucrative for us. It's not that it is loss for the business owner to keep on increasing the price, but all these are the factors that if government is able to listen to it properly and start with us, we need to sit down. The last time we were talking about 22 line items that government wanted to restrict it, and the Minister of Trade was rooting for it, wanted the LI to go through. We said we should suspend it, go and have a negotiation, or go and have a engagement with the stakeholders. He came with a date, and we said the date wasn't favorable for us. For that matter, postponed it. The minister went ahead to have the meeting. As we speak now, we don't even know how far that meeting has, who and who were at that meeting, and what has been the decision. And so these are some of the things. So I strongly believe that going into 2024, which they know that it's an election year, the government will be able to have a bigger heart to be able to engage us properly. When we raise issues, they see to it. And that should not be because it's an election year that the government will come to deceive us and say, we are listening to you, we are engaging you, and at the end of the day, after election, they will do whatever they wish to do. But I can tell you, our doors are open. 2024 is a new year. We are out with new heart, new mind, new brain, and we strongly believe that anytime government wants to engage us, we are available. And so let me say a very big Happy New Year to my senior comrade, Dr. Joseph Obende, because we haven't met ourselves, we haven't seen ourselves for a year.
Yeah, Dr. Aving, and on that note, I'll give you the final thoughts on this.
Yeah, let me wish Asaki, our presidential candidate, if only he's going to stand again.
I've declared. Dr. Aving, I've declared already. I declared. I think you're supposed to air the story. Yes,
okay, I wish you the best.
Thank you.
Okay, so all that we seek, businesses seek, is an improvement of the economy this time round. We've seen some kind of stability over the past year, and we want it to be sustained. That's all that we seek. And so if government is able to do that, then of course, businesses will be on the threshold to stand up again and show a positive trend of growing. And so that is my major worry. And that's why I'm cautioning government that around this time, the perennial depreciation happens at the end of every year, going through January and February. So we should not be complacent of any gains that we've gotten and work around the clock, both the Bank of Ghana and then the policymakers should work around the clock so that we can achieve this stability that we are enjoying now. It is, if you say inflation is going down, it's going down because of this stability that we are enjoying now. If we are not enjoying stability, the interest rate and all that. So it's therefore very important that we all work around this to ensure that we get a stronger currency where businesses can revolve around it. Thank you very much.
Grateful, Dr. Joseph Aving, also to you, Yao of Deloitte, Peter Tekpe, and Samson Asaki Ngubit. You're watching The Pulse. We'll be right back.